Dr. Mark Jangizi here at your Science Moment. Today I'm going to talk about how it is that when we summarize a conflict, we invariably summarize the conflict into two opposing teams. It's a very natural thing to do, but it really tends to confuse the situation, especially in cases like Hamas versus Israel. Now, everything that I'm going to say is completely common sense in one sense. Then again, everything that I believed that I was saying during COVID, I thought was common sense, and it needed to be said. So let me just say it. And it's that there's not two teams, folks. There's not just two teams. It's not the Israelis versus the Palestinians. It's not even Israel versus Hamas. There are four teams nominally, and the four teams are the Israeli government and then the Israelis. And as you know, I mean, during the last 4 years, we've been arguing against our governments, and so they're not the same. And of course, then there's Hamas, and then there's the Palestinian people. Now, it's a first order because Israel is democratic at any given time. Some of the population may disagree with the government, but of course they can change the government. And so we can really kind of, to first order, lump them together. So we've got Israel on the one hand, we have Hamas and Palestine on the other side. Now you can say, well, why don't we lump Hamas together with Palestine? Because Hamas is not a democratically elected government. Sure, there were supposed elections, but don't believe any of that. These were not elections, and there were faux elections that have not occurred again, right? These are undemocratic forces, just like in Iran. There is no democracy there. Now, of course, you get some people say, well, yeah, but a lot of the Palestinians, maybe 30%, maybe 80%, I don't know, agree with Hamas. Well, that's potentially true. There's definitely at least a large minority. It can only be 10% sometimes that are so vocal and so militant about it that everybody keeps their mouth shut out of fear, right? That doesn't mean that the government is for the people, that Hamas is for the people. It doesn't mean that the Iranian government is for the people. When Islamic peoples are under dictatorial regimes, Islamic dictatorial regimes that oppress them, and Israel is nowhere around, then people don't get confused about this. They go, okay, I get it. You know, these Islamic governments are the oppressors. But as soon as they're near Israel, it's suddenly, well, it's just everything that's occurring is Israel's fault. No, there are three players. Hamas is one of the biggest evils that's there. Even if Israel were to disappear, then you'd have a situation that's just like Iran and the Iranian people. The oppressed Iranian people by the Iranian government, just as you would then have the oppressed Palestinian people by the Palestinian government, which in this case is Hamas. Right? So stop pretending that there's only two teams here. And that was your Science Moment.